All right. Uh, hey everyone, welcome to Kubernetes new contributor orientation. Before we start off, we have few housekeeping items. Firstly, this meeting is recorded and will be published on YouTube. All meetings in Kubernetes community abide by a code of conduct which you can find at the link on the bottom of the slide. It basically sums up to please be respectful of the speakers and your fellow attendees and generally be excellent to each other. Please use the chat to ask questions and have discussions throughout this call. There will be a Q&A section at the end where we encourage you to ask questions verbally if you would like to. A copy of these slides is available on GitHub and the link is also in the meeting invite. We will post the link in the chat now. Note that on GitHub, the slides are provided as a PDF file. The links in the deck are not clickable as displayed on GitHub, but they should be clickable if you download the file. One second, let me actually remove the Fireflies AI. There should be no AI. And there's one more. There you go. So the GitHub, and they should be clickable if you download the file. The purpose of this meeting is to orient you in the Kubernetes community. That means giving you a sense for how the community works and what are your part is or could be within it. We will start off with the presentation to convey information about the community. Then we will have Q&A section where you're welcome to ask any question you would like of your host today. Hearing the questions that you ask can benefit anyone watching the recording, so please do ask questions verbally during this time if you are comfortable doing so. Little bit about myself. I'm Darshan Tumkor. I've been contributing for Kubernetes storage, SIG storage for a while, and I enjoy doing it as well. Let's dive in. Kubernetes communities is very big group of people who work together to create and maintain the Kubernetes project. Here are some some numbers to give you a sense for which how big the Kubernetes community is. We track the data of our contributors via GitHub and few other contributor tools. We also collect them in a tool called DevStats. This is basically a big database of information about Kubernetes contributions, and you're welcome to explore it yourself. These stats were pulled in November of 2024. At the time, we had over 94,000 contributors who had made over 4 million contributions. And all of these contributions are reviewed by just 7.8 thousand people with reviewer privileges. We will talk more about contribution and who is a reviewer in the later presentation. Now, before we dive deeper into community, some of you may be unfamiliar with the Kubernetes is, what it does. Kubernetes is an open source container orchestration tool. Open source means that it's made by people around the world, some of whom are paid to work on it, but many of whom are volunteers. And the code of Kubernetes software is publicly available under an open source license that describes exactly who, when, and how software and its source code can be used. And the cool thing about Kubernetes does is orchestrate containers. Let's go over what this means. Businesses have many applications that they need to run. For example, they may have payroll application, logistic application, or company website. This application needs to run somewhere, so the business also have a lot of computers to run these applications on. Kubernetes enables businesses to say, hey Kubernetes, here is the computers that I have and here are the apps I need to run. You can describe various levels of details about how that application needs to run or the hardware it might need. And Kubernetes will run on a machine for you. It also provides some handy functionalities for managing the application while it's running. For example, it can provide some help for the process of updating the application to a new version. Exactly how it does all of this magic is what Kubernetes contributors work to maintain and improve every day. Let's learn more about contributors build how contributors build Kubernetes by exploring our community structure. Kubernetes is an open source project within Cloud Native Computing Foundation. The CNCF is a nonprofit organization with stated mission to make cloud native ubiquitous. To that end, they support many open source projects that enable companies to run applications in the cloud. The CNCF provides a variety of guidance and support to its project, including legal support, code of conduct, help with logos, copyright, and more. The pyramid below the CNCF represent one moment, let me see. All right. Okay. The pyramid below the CNCF represent the structure of Kubernetes community at the top, interfacing the most with CNCF, presiding over various topics that affect the entire community, and project is the steering committee. This is a body of 7 members who are elected by Kubernetes org members. We will go over more about org membership means shortly. With a project so large, there are many different concepts within the project that need unique skills and knowledge. For example, the way Kubernetes nodes where the workloads are run do what they do is one area of expertise. Meanwhile, the challenge of writing and maintaining Kubernetes docs needs folks with different expertise. People who work on specific area of project rather together is what are called special interest groups or SIGs. These break up these break up the work of building and maintaining the Kubernetes project into more sensible chunks. Sometimes, however, the big area that needs attention that are both very significant and cut across SIGs. Sometimes these are split into what we call working groups. A working group is generally temporary, created to address specific issue, and then meant to disappear as a focus group once the topic is sufficiently addressed by ongoing SIG work. A defining characteristics of WGs is that they generally don't own any code or feature, at least not in the long term. WG work either is or will be owned by one or more SIGs by the time the WG dissolves, unless that WG become a SIG, which does happen occasionally. But the work of one SIG can be quite broad in scope. There can be hundreds of contributors in a single SIG. So the SIG further break down their work into sub-projects. Currently, there are 24 special interest groups, 7 working groups, and 3 committees in the Kubernetes community. We can further group that SIG and working groups by their scope. Some groups operate at a project level and other in the project depends on them. Some groups work in the horizontal level, meaning that they have technical focus that is both deep and broad and own core functionalities from the project architecture perspective. Vertical groups have deep, specific technical focus that depends on the work of the horizontal group. And of course, both horizontal and vertical groups depends on the work of the project group. Here is a diagram of the SIG and working group currently active in Kubernetes project. To call out just few SIG releases and docs are groups whose work you might be familiar with. And they operate at the project scope. Though you may not have known it, you have probably encountered the work of SIG API machinery, SIG auth before. We consider these to be horizontal groups. And vertical groups, you will also find lots familiar concepts like auto-scaling, scheduling, networking, and the node. You might want to refer back to this diagram later as you're exploring groups to contribute to. Feel free to ask questions during Q&A or in the chat now, but for now, we are going to move along, talk more about contribution. Now we have learned the basic how the community is structured. Let's start exploring where you fit into all this. First off, let's briefly explore why you might want to contribute. There are many reasons people contribute to Kubernetes community. For some, their job requires contributing. There are also contributors who work with community on purely volunteer basis. There are also those who are somewhere in the middle where their work needs them to contribute sometimes, but they also do extra work for community outside their job. So why do so many people contribute without getting paid? They may want to grow specific skills for their resume, or maybe they want to meet people working in industry. Maybe they just think technology is cool. They want to dive deep and help build. Or sometimes work just like being part of community of people all working towards similar goal. You should think carefully about why you want to contribute. As you get more engaged with the community, you will get more out of it. You can clearly tell people what if you can clearly tell people what you want. If others know who you are and what you want and what you can do, they can more easily help you find work opportunities, connections that will most benefit you. Regardless of why interested in contributing, you're probably wondering what it means to be a contributor. To answer the question what it means to be a contributor, let's first explore what might count as contribution. The truth is any work you do to support Kubernetes project is a welcome and valued contribution to the community. That sounds broad and vague, but it's important. There is a lot of work contributors do behind the scenes to make the project run. It's certainly not all writing code, making pull requests on GitHub. That said, it certainly helps to have some examples. Here are a few you might have thought of, and some you might not have. For example, did you start off posting hello message on Kubernetes new contributor channel in Kubernetes Slack? That's a contribution. You have commented on an issue or a proposal for new feature to share your thoughts or opinion. That's a contribution. Even watching or attending this meeting right now is a contribution. So pat yourself on the back for community today, contributing today. As a community, we try our best to acknowledge and appreciate contributions to the community in many forms. But if so many vague and varied things can count as a contribution, then what does it mean to be a contributor? There are varying levels of being a contributor. You might remember our slide earlier where we mentioned contributors and reviewers. This slide dives into more details on what those terms mean. Starting at the bottom, anyone can be a contributor. If you do so of these things mentioned on the previous slide and more, you're already a contributor. If you contribute to the community in any way, then you might be what we call non-member contributor. This means that you pop into the community and contribute likely in small and disconnected way. But if you want to really get involved with the community, you might want to go for org membership. An org membership refers to a member of the Kubernetes organization on GitHub. Being an org member gives you higher privileges to do their work, like our Bot in GitHub, which helps us apply label and configure issues using GitHub commands. Having org membership is a sign that you are an active, engaged contributor who tends to contribute in more structured ways within the community. You're just not picking up single issue or asking one-off questions. You're probably developing expertise in a certain area of the project. You might be contributing to one or more sub-projects or six in consistent, measurable way. So you will be ready to become a Kubernetes member or member when the contributions of your work with regularly or you work with regularly are familiar with your work will vouch for you as a sponsors on your request for membership. Beyond becoming an org member, there are increasing levels of trust, ownership, responsibilities that you could choose to pursue. Once you have been engaged in an area for a while, you might have enough knowledge to help review contributions or pull requests from other contributors. Eventually, you might be trusted enough to say on whether some code is merged or contribution is accepted and displayed on something like that Kubernetes.io website, then you would be an approver. If you become a strong expertise in a specific area, who is likely trusted and regarded for your expertise, you might take on new responsibilities. You might become a person others come to with questions, and you might be lead triage sessions or other work for the area. At that point, you might be a sub-project owner. If you're an expert who's starting leading things in that area, you might also take responsibility for various resources within that area, how they relate to the other parts of the project. For example, you might take responsibility for README file, defining a whole sub-project, which is where people would go to learn about it. And you might become the contact person who triages requests from other parts of the project. At that point, you might be a sub-project leader. If you're leading a whole sub-project, that's a considerable chunk of work within the SIG. You're probably interacting and collaborating with the leads of other sub-projects. And you are probably developing pretty strong sense of mission objectives, ongoing work of SIG as a whole. At that point, you may become a chair or tech lead for an entire special interest group. If you remember our community structure diagram from earlier, you might wonder if becoming a member of the steering committee would be next step, but steering in an elected position. You can actually run for steering at any point past or membership, but you will be more likely to get elected the better other contributors know you and your work. This ladder might seem like that one true path in contribution, but I want to remind you that there is no single path for your contributor's journey. Most contributors end up with contributing in multiple areas of the project. Some people even develop ownership in different SIGs at some point at the same time. Just because you are learning and contributing in one SIG doesn't mean that you can't check out other. Remember, most contributors are at least partially volunteers. Almost everyone contributing is doing it because they love it. So look around, find what you love and do that. Now you know the basics of how community is structured, how you might fit into. As we have established, you might already be a non-member contributor. But if you want to do more to contribute, let's explore where you can start. Fastest way to learn and make yourself useful will be find a thing that suits your interest and just start getting involved there. That might not mean immediately pick up an issue and writing code. Often getting involved means attending meetings, reading notes on existing issues, and just generally starting to get a feel for what the group does. To stay up to date on what's going on in the community, you want to join the Slack and Kubernetes developers Google group. These two tools are primary ways the community does asynchronous work and receives announcements. Let's explore how you can learn about SIG so you can find groups that are going to work relevant to your interests. So when you start learning, first check out Kubernetes community repo on GitHub. This is the repo. You can find folders containing information about SIG and working groups. When you click on the SIG folder in the community repo, it will show you that folder's README. top of this file, you'll find brief summary of the six focus area and likely a link to their more detailed team charter. This will give you a broad, high-level idea of what the SIG does. Below the summary of the group, you'll find information about the group meets. Attending meetings is often a great way to learn more about who is in the group and what they are currently working on and how they do their work. Attending meeting is a great way to start getting to know the group of people you're interested in working with and for them to get to know you. You will also find information about SIG's leadership. Most SIGs have both concept of chairs and technical leads. These leaders are at the same level of trust and responsibility, but likely own different types of tasks for supporting the SIG. Chairs tend to do more project management type work for the SIG, while tech lead tend to do more architectural leadership like managing reports and certain kinds of technical decisions and processes. Each SIG defines what this role means to them, and each leader will be little different. You'll also find contact information for the SIG. Most SIGs in Kubernetes do a lot of asynchronous communication in their channel within the Kubernetes Slack, which you can join by visiting slack.kitus.io. Each SIG has a mailing list. Important announcements for all contributors to the SIG will go out to the mailing list. The mailing list will also be invited to all SIG meetings via Google Calendar. You will find more information about where find the issues and PR related to that SIG. And other information like GitHub teams and are also part of that SIG. Also, every contributor should join Kubernetes Dev Google group, also known as KDev. This mailing list is the primary communication channel for important contributor information. Check out each SIG folder will show you lots of information about specific SIG. But what if you want to find information about all the SIG meetings? The community maintains a contributor website at k8s.dev. Within k8s.dev, we have a page that with information about all the public community meetings. Go to k8s.dev calendar and see the list of all meetings. Clicking on one will bring up the new window for you to add meeting to your own calendar. This can be a great way to get a sense of which groups meet at times that may work for you. Now you know how community is structured, where you could fit in, how to start learning. You might also want to know if there is any actively open work for you could pick up and become a part of. We reach out SIG leads every month to ask them to share any current opportunities they would like you prospective contributors to know about. On this slide, you can see the evergreen opportunities. These opportunities for work that are basically always available or which available on regular cadence. And this one. Okay, now can I pick up this task? Evergreen opportunities are great because they represent work that always needs doing and which is likely well defined, but a lot of work is one of style. An issue that needs fixing, work on a new feature. Many of these types of work require certain skill to complete. You might see an open request that requires a skill you want to develop. Think you should pick up the task to learn. Be wary of doing this. If the task was easy for someone already in that SIG to do it, it probably would have been done by now. Many requests with the skill requirements are open because no one in community currently has those skills, so they can't teach them. Or they may be open because the people who do have those skills are too busy, can't pick up more work, including helping others. This slide lists calls for help that require certain skill. If you're familiar with the tools or the skills listed, please reach out in the appropriate SIG Slack channel. This one. All right. Common contribution pitfall. Common contribution pitfall is falling into good first issue trap. The scene goes something like this. You're a new prospective contributor and you're excited to make your mark on community. You find an issue with good first issue label on GitHub. You think, great, I'll climb this issue, write some code, and I will have contributed to Kubernetes. Let's back up a step. Once you pick up good first issue, how are you going to complete it? I mentioned earlier that Kubernetes communities use a tool like Browbot to help us manage issues. You're familiar with the bot. It's fine if you're not. Maybe you'll just start writing code. Those reviewers, approvers, owners are mentioned with appear to make sure that issue has the right label stuff on it. Once you've written your code, you will also need to get their attention to review your PR. Remember, there is a lot more contributors than there are reviewers. When you make your PR, reviewers and approvers will automatically assign. But what if there are issues in your code? You might need to go back and forth with the reviewers on GitHub. Are you comfortable using comments and pull requests to see the work go through completion? Most good first issues that get picked up by by non-member contributors never make it to completion. The code never gets checked in, and then the community has all these tail issues and PRs sitting around for work we really needed done. But the person got lost and ended up abandoning their contribution halfway. Then those reviewers, approvers, and owners have to go through the process of triaging the issues, opening it again, or whatever else they might do with it. You can avoid getting stuck in this trap by joining a SIG and sticking with it. When you know the people you are working with and the goals that you are working towards, you can be valuable part of not just doing the work, but making sure work gets done. This is what lot of information today. This was a lot of information today. This is just the orientation meeting. When you join your first SIG meeting, you're probably going to be overwhelmed. You're probably going to be overwhelmed. A lot of SIG meetings exist for active existing contributors to contribute with each other on active in progress work. That doesn't mean that you should join as a new contributor. You learn faster by joining these meetings, watching the processes in action, but it might mean that you feel left out and lost your first few times. Don't be afraid to ask questions by speaking up, asking in the chat, asking in the SIG or sub-project Slack later. The Kubernetes community is big, diverse, and diverse place. It's diverse in terms of people, skill, technologies, so much more. It might take you a while to find the place clicks with you. There might be a particular SIG or sub-project where you find more opportunities to build the skills or connections that are most important to you. Don't forget that you can move around and explore other groups within the project. Most contributors end up contributing in multiple areas, and many find particular area that they dive on. No two contributors have the same journey, so you will need to explore to find the best place for you. Regardless of which areas you explore, we need your help. We are glad you're here. We covered a lot today. Getting started Kubernetes communities means learning a lot of basic tools, processes, structures, and more. Check out these links and refer them often as you grow. and the QA. Today you've learned some basics, how the Kubernetes communities work, and how you might grow as a contributors. Now is your chance to ask your active contributor host questions. What else would you like to know about contribution? Hi guys, over to you. Any questions?
Hi, Darshan. I hope I'm pronouncing your name right.
Yes, you're right.
Thank you. Thank you for this presentation. It was very,
Uh-huh.
very, very valuable. I have a
Uh-huh.
question, please. As a
Uh-huh.
Kubernetes newbie, what are the requirements before starting to consider even contributing to some SIGs or a sub-project of Kubernetes?
That's a great question. So the idea of contribution is depends on you. Um, Sometimes people start off as contributing to our docs or commenting on an issue or attending a meeting. Even even these activities are considered as contribution. But it also depends on the skill set that you want to develop or the problem that you want to solve, if that answers your question.
Yes, it is. But I think, or what I want to know is it common that someone is totally new by in Kubernetes in particular to develop the skills along the way?
Yes, absolutely. I think it is an open field for anybody who wants to learn the technology and start contributing. But like my previous slides, I emphasize that it's always good idea to start with attending meetings of our six meeting. Uh, that will just open up different areas because in those meetings they discuss problems, what are the issues that they're facing, so that helps you to grow as a contributor. So in short, yes, you can get started.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. All right, thank you so much. It was nice meeting all of you, and I hope you all start contributing and learning more about Kubernetes. Thank you all.